just because I happen to think that she's cute and pretty and sweet and charming, that doesn't mean that I like her better than you just because you're not. I thought you said she would be eating out of the palm of my hand. Here, I wash my hands for nothing. Good day, madam, and thank you for dropping in.
Until I find out about this Laverne woman.
Well, good. Fred, go get some cement. We'll make us a statue. Aren't you going to offer me a drink?
Would you care for a drink?
No, thank you. I don't drink anymore. No, you really beginning to get on my nerves now. Say, listen, why don't you drop by sometime?
Hello, Woodrow, darling.
And fix the leak under the kitchen sink. I was out all night drinking and celebrating, and when I got home this morning, Esther had to sit all my clothes out in this suitcase and wouldn't let me eat. Now, I've sit here and listened to you insult my wife long enough, so I'm gonna be waiting right outside.
He made millions laugh with a single line, a sideways glance, a stumble and a smirk. But after Raymond Allen passed away at 91, neighbors gathered outside his home, and what they found in his garage left them completely speechless. This wasn't a storage space. It wasn't filled with cars, trophies, or Hollywood memorabilia. It was something far more shocking and deeply human. Raymond Allen was best known for playing Ned the Wino on Good Times and the unforgettable Uncle Woody on Sanford & Son. But the legacy he left behind wasn't on the screen. It was tucked inside a garage in South Central Los Angeles, a garage that held a 300-gallon aquarium, a pool table, rows of chairs, and stories no casting director ever heard. Why did a sitcom legend spend his final years building a sanctuary for teenagers? What was he trying to protect them from? And how did a man who spent decades typecast as a drunk become one of the most powerful mentors his community had ever known? This isn't just about Raymond Allen the actor. This is about Raymond Allen the man, and the legacy he left behind in a garage no one will ever forget. Raymond Allen was born on March 5, 1929 in Kansas City, Missouri, the youngest of 12 siblings. In a household that full, you had two choices: fight for attention or get lost in the noise. Raymond did both. He learned to be sharp, funny, and fast, survival traits that would later become part of his comedic rhythm. But long before Hollywood came calling, Allen served in one of the most high-stakes environments imaginable, the U.S. Navy. As a sonar technician and the captain's personal cook, he was stationed aboard ships during one of the most dangerous times in military history, the South Pacific atomic bomb testing era. While others were dodging fallout, Raymond was scrubbing pots, reading sonar waves, and keeping his crewmates alive through humor and hot meals. That Navy experience didn't just give him discipline, it gave him presence, composure under pressure, the ability to listen deeply and react fast. Traits that would eventually serve him not just on camera, but in the lives he touched off-screen. From a crowded Kansas City home to Navy steel decks in the Pacific, Raymond Allen was already living a life worthy of storytelling before the cameras ever rolled. Raymond Allen never planned to become an actor. In fact, his first big break didn't come from an audition. It came from being a supportive dad. In 1969, his young daughter, Terrence, was auditioning for a role on a local television show. The producers needed someone to read lines with her, and Raymond volunteered. What happened next was something no one expected. The moment he started reading, the room shifted. His timing was impeccable. His delivery, flawless. The producers were stunned. They didn't just offer Terrence a part, they offered one to Raymond too. That one moment lit a fuse. He began landing small parts, often in community theater and local productions, but his performances stood out. There was something naturally magnetic about him. He didn't act like a trained thespian. He acted like a man who'd lived and who knew how to make a line feel like truth. Friends noticed, directors remembered. He wasn't polished, but he was powerful. A quiet scene stealer who could turn a walk-on role into a fan favorite. The man who once stood behind a Navy stove was now in front of studio lights. And without ever planning for it, Raymond Allen was officially an actor. An accidental entry, but an undeniable presence. Raymond Allen's big break came in 1974 when he joined the cast of Sanford & Son as Uncle Woody, the long-suffering husband of the fiery Aunt Esther. With just 9 episodes, he made himself unforgettable. Every eye roll, every deadpan comeback, every scene a masterclass in comedic restraint. Then came Good Times. As Ned the Wino, he delivered slurred one-liners and physical comedy that had audiences howling. He played the lovable drunk not with mockery, but with a strange kind of dignity, making Ned more than a punchline. He made him human. Allen also made appearances on Starsky and Hutch, The Jeffersons, The Love Boat, and What's Happening Now. His style was unmistakable, a rhythm, a presence, a twinkle in the eye that couldn't be taught. But with the laughs came the limits. Hollywood loved him, but only in certain boxes. The funny drunk, the crazy uncle. He wasn't offered the layered roles or long-term arcs his talent deserved. Still, he brought depth where no one expected it. Behind the scenes, Allen wanted more respect, more range. But he never let bitterness seep into his work. Typecast? Maybe. But dismissed? Never. Because Raymond Allen had the rare power.
He married Barbara Williams in 1963, and together they raised 3 children. His daughter, Terrence, followed in his footsteps, appearing on Good Times as Michael's girlfriend, cementing a beautiful, if brief, father-daughter TV legacy. But family life wasn't picture perfect. Raymond's marriage ended in 1977, and not long after, tragedy struck. His only son, Raymond Jr., passed away, a wound that never fully healed. Still, Raymond didn't retreat. He kept working. I kept performing. He brought joy to millions, even as his own life was marked by heartbreak and healing. It was a quiet kind of strength, the ability to lift others even when carrying your own weight. Friends and castmates often described him as warm, grounded, and generous. The kind of man who made time for conversation, who asked about your family, who treated everyone on set, from producers to janitors, with respect. And maybe that's why his characters felt so real, because they came from a man who had lived, who had lost, and who still chose to give laughter to the world, even when it cost him something to do it. Raymond Allen wasn't just an entertainer, he was a believer. In justice, in faith, and in the community. After the assassination of Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., Allen didn't sit still. He gathered his family and joined the campaign trail for Robert F. Kennedy in 1968, believing that real change started at the ballot box. He talked about voting the way others talked about football, with passion, conviction, and the urgency of someone who understood what was at stake. But his most powerful act of service didn't happen in front of crowds or cameras. It happened inside a single-car garage in South Central Los Angeles. Instead of trophies or scripts, the garage held a pool table, chairs, snacks, and the neighborhood's trust. Allen turned it into a sanctuary, a safe space for at-risk teens. He taught them how to play pool, how to speak with respect, how to believe in themselves. There was even a 300-gallon fish tank, not for show, but to spark wonder. The kids who came through that garage didn't see a sitcom star. They saw a mentor, a protector, a man who saw them. And that garage, it became more than a room. It became a legacy. In his final years, Raymond Allen stepped back from the spotlight. His health began to decline, and public appearances became rare. But the love never faded. Neighbors still dropped by. Kids he mentored now had kids of their own, and they'd come just to say thank you, because they hadn't forgotten what that garage meant, what he meant.
When Raymond passed away in August 2020, tributes flooded social media. Not just from fans of Good Times or Sanford and Son, but from people you'll never see on a red carpet. Neighbors, mentees, church members, and friends. What shocked people wasn't just how quietly he lived, but how deeply he impacted those around him. For decades, he was called a supporting actor, but when the final curtain closed, he turned out to be the main character in more lives than anyone could count. Some celebrities leave behind fame, others leave behind influence. Raymond Allen left behind both, and that garage, it's still talked about like a sacred place, because when the laughter faded and the cameras stopped rolling, what remained was a man who chose people over ego, service over spotlight, and love over legacy. Turns out, he left all three. Raymond Allen didn't win Emmys, he didn't headline movies, but his legacy, it's deeper than any trophy could ever measure. He made us laugh with Uncle Woody and Ned the Wino. But more than that, he made his block feel safe. He turned a barrage into a community center, a sanctuary, a place where laughter was healing and mentorship was a mission. In Hollywood, he played sidekicks. In real life, he played the hero. He proved that your most important role doesn't have to be on a screen. It can be in a garage, on your street, in the lives of kids who just need someone to believe in them. Raymond Allen's life wasn't about fame. It was about faith, about showing up, about staying kind in an industry that doesn't always reward kindness. And in the end, it's not just what he did, it's what he left behind. Hope, memory, legacy, and a generation of young people who saw more for themselves because one man opened his garage and said, "You belong." So if this story moved you, like this video, subscribe to the channel, and share this story. Because legends like Raymond Allen deserve to be remembered, not just for the characters they played, but for the lives they touched. Sometimes the biggest stars are the ones who shine in places the cameras never go.